everyone, welcome to the fourth prose unit in your syllabus, A Truly Beautiful Mind, prescribed by NCERT. In this video, I'll first introduce the prose to you, then we'll read the text line by line, I'll discuss the difficult words and their meanings along with the explanation of the text. In the third part, we'll analyze the major themes in the text. Let's jump straight into the introduction now. This prose is a biographical account of the life and works of the most popular modern scientist, Albert Einstein. It contains details about his childhood, his school days, university education, his famous works, and his personal life. Albert Einstein was born on 14th March 1879 and he died on 18th April 1955. He is one of the most famous scientists of our times, and this chapter is a collection of the biographical details from his life, starting from his childhood, his school days, all of his education, his famous works, his rise to fame, and his personal life. Let's read the text now. This text has been divided into 7 parts and I've named them according to the stage of Einstein's life that they talk about. Let's start reading. Albert Einstein was born on 14th March 1879 in the German city of Ulm without any indication that he was destined for greatness. On the contrary, his mother thought Albert was a freak. To her, his head seemed much too large. So Albert Einstein was born on 14th March 1879 in Germany, and there was no indication that he was destined, meaning that it was in his destiny, in his fate to become such a famous scientist of all times. His mother, on the other hand, thought that he was a weird person, he was a strange child because his head was very large and he was very different from other children. At the age of 2.5, Einstein still wasn't talking. When he finally did learn to speak, he uttered everything twice. So Einstein had a speech delay. He didn't start talking till he was 2.5, and when he started to talk, he repeated everything he said twice. Einstein did not know what to do with other children, and his playmates called him Brother Boring. So the youngster played by himself much of the time. He especially loved mechanical toys. Looking at his newborn sister Maja, he is said to have said, "Fine, but where are her wheels?" So Einstein did not like to play with other children. He did not just gel up with other children because they were very different from him. He was interested in mechanical toys, and other children called him Brother Boring because the games that they played, Einstein did not like such games. And when his sister was born, he said, "Fine, but where are her wheels?" So he expected the child to have wheels because he just did not understand that it was a child and it would have legs. Now let's talk about his school days. A headmaster once told his father that what Einstein chose as a profession wouldn't matter because he'll never make a success at anything. Einstein began learning to play the violin at the age of 6 because his mother wanted him to. He later became a gifted amateur violinist, maintaining this skill throughout his life. So look at what his headmaster once told his father. He said that whatever profession, it does not matter whatever profession Einstein chose, he will never be successful in his life, right? And at a very young age, he started to play violin because his mother wanted to. And he became an amateur. Amateur means somebody who does something as a hobby because they like doing it, not as a profession, right? He became a gifted means very talented. He became a very talented amateur violinist. So he never took it as a profession, but he was very talented and he maintained this skill throughout his life. He played violin throughout his life. But Albert Einstein was not a bad pupil. He was not a bad student. Pupil means student. He went to high school in Munich, where Einstein's family had moved when he was 15 months old, and scored good marks in almost every subject. So he was not a bad student. Munich is a place in Germany. It's a city in Germany, and he was just 1 year, 3 months old when his family moved from Ulm, where he was born, to Munich, right? He scored good marks in his school, but he hated the school's regimentation. His school was very strict. The discipline was very, very strict, and he hated the regimentation and often clashed with his teachers. He often had heated arguments with his teachers, right? At the age of 15, Einstein felt so stifled there that he left the school for good. Stifled means he felt suffocated. He felt like he could not breathe. So because he was a different sort of a child, he was good at studies, but he did not like the kind of discipline that the school had. The previous year, Albert's parents had moved to Milan, and left their son with relatives. After prolonged discussion, Einstein got his wish to continue his education in German-speaking Switzerland in a city which was more liberal than Munich. So, because Einstein was feeling so suffocated in school, he left the school for good. For good means forever. At the age of 15, when he was 15, his parents moved to Italy. But he requested his parents, he had a discussion with his parents, and he moved to Switzerland. Now, Switzerland is the place where he completed his schooling from, and he also did his university education from Switzerland, right? So he moved to German-speaking Switzerland in a city which was more liberal than Munich. He moved to a city which was more liberal than Munich was. Munich was in Germany, remember? Okay, let's move to his university education now. Einstein was highly gifted in mathematics and interested in physics, and after finishing school, he decided to study at university in Zurich. Now, Zurich is a place in Switzerland where he studied. So he was highly talented, highly gifted in mathematics, and he was very interested in physics. And after finishing school, he decided to go to university in Zurich, in Switzerland only. But science wasn't the only thing that appealed to the dashing young man with the walrus mustache. So science wasn't the only thing that appealed to this dashing young man. He also had this walrus mustache. Walrus mustache means he had a mustache which was growing in the downward direction. He has a thick set of mustache if you look at his pictures. He also felt a special interest in a fellow student. So he liked a fellow student called Mileva Maric, and who he found to be a clever creature. She was a very smart, intelligent woman, and she was from Serbia, right? So that's why they are calling her a Serb. This young Serb had come to Switzerland because the university in Zurich was one of the very few in Europe where women could get degrees. So at the time when women were not even allowed to go to school, this woman came to university to get her degree. Einstein saw in her an ally against the Philistines. Ally means a friend, and Philistines here refers to the people who are not interested in art and literature and things like that, right? So those people in his family and the university with whom he was constantly at odds. So he was against these people. He used to have arguments with such people who did not like in literature and art. But she was one person who was interested in the same things as he was. So they became friends. The couple fell in love. Letters survive in which they put their affection into words, mixing science with tenderness. So they wrote love letters to each other. Wrote Einstein, "How happy and proud I shall be when we both have brought our work on relativity to a victorious conclusion." So we all know that Einstein was working on the theory of relativity, and he has written this in his letter that he would be very happy if they could bring it to victory together. So they wrote love letters to each other. Now we will talk about his professional life. In 1900, at the age of 21, Albert Einstein was a university graduate and unemployed. So he became a graduate at the age of 21 in 1900. He worked as a teaching assistant, gave private lessons, and finally secured a job in 1902 as a technical expert in the patent office in Bern. While he was supposed to be assessing other people's inventions, Einstein was actually developing his own ideas in secret. He's said to have jokingly called his desk drawer at work the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. So theoretical physics was the area that Einstein was working on. At the age of 21, he had a degree, but he did not have a job. So he started teaching. He became a teaching assistant. And after a while, he got a job in the patent office in Bern. Now, patent is a document, is a piece of paper which gives the right of any invention to an inventor. A patent, if you have a patent for any machine, it tells you that you are the rightful owner of that machine. He was supposed to be assessing other people's inventions. He was looking at other people's inventions. Nobody knew that he was working secretly on his own theory. He was working on in theoretical physics, and he jokingly called his desk the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. One of the most famous papers of 1905 was Einstein's special theory of relativity. So he was working for a long time, and in 1905 he released a paper, a research paper called Einstein's special theory of relativity, according to which time and distance are not absolute. They are not fixed. Time and distance are not something that you measure in themselves. They are always measured in relationship to something. Indeed, two perfectly accurate clocks will not continue to show the same time if they come together again after a journey, if one of them has been moving very fast relative to the other. From this followed the world's most famous formula, which describes the relationship between mass and energy. E is equal to mc square. So E stands for energy, m stands for mass, c stands for speed of light. So this is the formula that Einstein came up with in his paper, which he published in 1905, called Special Theory of Relativity, and in which he talked about the relativity of quantities like time and distance, right? Let's talk about his personal life. While Einstein was solving the most difficult problems in physics, his private life was unraveling. Unraveling means falling apart. His private life was going to hell. Albert had wanted to marry Mileva right after finishing his studies, but his mother was against it. So in 1900, when he had completed his studies, he wanted to marry his classmate right then, but his mother was against it. She thought Mileva, who was 3 years older than her son, was too old for him. So Mileva was 24 at that time. But his mother thought that she was too old for him. She was also bothered by Mileva's intelligence. She is a book like you, his mother said. Einstein put the wedding off. So he was 21 when he wanted to get married, but his mother said no. His mother had a problem because Mileva was 3 years older than him, and she was also very, very intelligent. So her mother felt slightly uneasy because she was a very intelligent girl. The pair finally married in July 1903 and had 2 sons. So they married in 1903 and they had 2 sons. But a few years later, the marriage faltered. The marriage became weak. Mileva, meanwhile, was losing her intellectual ambition. Intellectual means mental, cognitive, something related to mind. Ambition means aim. She was such an intelligent woman. She wanted to do a lot in her life. She was very intelligent. But because she got married, she was slowly losing all of her hope of having a good career, of doing something great. She was becoming an unhappy housewife. After years of constant fighting, the couple finally divorced in 1919. Einstein married his cousin Elsa the same year. So they got divorced in 1919 and he married his cousin Elsa in the same year. Now we'll talk about Einstein's rise to fame. Einstein's new personal chapter coincided with his rise to world fame. Personal chapter means his divorce, whatever was happening in his life. Coincided means it happened at the same time with his rise to world fame. So at the same time when he was having the most difficult time in his life, when he was going through a divorce, he rose to fame. He became a personality who was known all over the world. In 1915, he had published the general theory of relativity. So in 1905, he wrote that paper, but in 1915, he worked for almost 10 years and he published his general theory of relativity, which provided a new interpretation of gravity. He interpreted gravity in another way in his paper. An eclipse of the sun in 1919 brought proof that it was accurate. So in 1919, finally, after having published his theory of relativity in 1950, 4 years after publishing it, it was proved to be right. And how was it proved to be right? By an eclipse of the sun, right? Einstein had correctly calculated in advance the extent to which the light from fixed stars would be deflected through the sun's gravitational field. The newspapers proclaimed his work as a scientific revolution. Einstein correctly calculated in advance the extent to which the light from the stars would be deflected, and he did it before the eclipse took place. And in 1919, when it was found out that his calculations were absolutely correct, he became world famous, and the newspapers announced his work as a scientific revolution. Everybody praised him. Einstein received Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. 2 years after this, he received the Nobel Prize in Physics. He was showered with honors and invitations from all over the world and lauded by the press. So this proving happened in 1919. This was the same year when he was going through a divorce. Right? And now we'll read about his later life. When the Nazis came to power in Germany in 1933, Einstein emigrated to the United States. 5 years later, the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin had American physicists in an uproar. Many of them had fled from fascism just as Einstein had, and now they were afraid the Nazis could build and use an atomic bomb. So Nazi here refers to Hitler's dictatorship. Hitler became the ruler of Germany and started to kill Jewish people. Einstein was also a Jewish person by birth because his family was Jewish. So he emigrated. Emigrated means he left his country and he moved permanently to settle in the US. Fascism here refers to a form of government that is a type of one-party dictatorship, right? They do not tolerate any sort of democracy, equality. They are against the values of equality, liberty, democracy, and the fascist government generally believes in racial purity. So they believed that the people who were Aryans were the only pure race, and everybody else, including the Jewish people, the mixed race people, needed to be killed because they had no right to live on this planet. Einstein had run away from this Nazi Germany, and there were other scientists who had run away from Germany and who had come to America. But they soon found out that the discovery of nuclear fission that was happening in Germany. Now, fission means to separate. Whenever you separate an atom into pieces, it produces a lot of energy in the form of heat and light. And if this happens at a very large scale, it can produce enough heat and light to damage, to destruct buildings. It could be produced into a bomb, right? And that's what everybody was scared of. Everybody was scared that Nazi Germany, because they wanted to kill all of the people who did not belong to the Aryan race, everybody was scared that they will build a bomb and they will throw that bomb onto different countries. At the urging of a colleague, Einstein wrote a letter to the American president Franklin D. Roosevelt on 2 August 1939, in which he warned, a single bomb of this type exploded in a port might very well destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory. So because his colleagues urged him, requested him to write to the American president Franklin Roosevelt, he wrote that a single bomb of this type would cause a lot of destruction. His words did not fail to have an effect. He basically warned the president, saying that this type of bomb could be very, very dangerous. So his letter was not ignored. His letter was taken very, very seriously. The Americans developed the atomic bomb in a secret project of their own and dropped it on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. So during the Second World War, America itself built this bomb, which Einstein had said no to. Einstein had warned everybody against building such bombs because they would cause a lot of destruction. But America did not listen to him. They still built a bomb, and they dropped that bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they caused huge destruction there. Lots of people, thousands of people were killed, and some of the people are still suffering from the genetic diseases that were caused due to these bombs. Einstein was deeply shaken by the extent of destruction. This time he wrote a public missive to the United Nations. He wrote a public letter. He wrote an open letter, official letter to the United Nations, because he was so shaken up. In it, he proposed the formation of the world government. Unlike the letter to Roosevelt, this one made no impact. So nobody heard him. Nobody paid attention to what Einstein was saying. But over the next decade, Einstein got ever more involved in politics, agitating for an end to the arms buildup and using his popularity to campaign for peace and democracy. When Einstein died in 1955 at the age of 76, he was celebrated as a visionary and as a world citizen as much as a scientific genius. So he was a scientist, and we all know that, but he was celebrated as a visionary. Visionary is somebody who can think about the future in an innovative, in a new way. And world citizen means somebody who just is not bound by one country, somebody who's able to think about the whole world, right? So he started agitating against arms buildup. He wanted that countries should not develop arms. Arms means weapons. They should not develop such nuclear weapons with which they can kill whole of the human race. So he was against using science for destructive purposes, right? So that was your text. Now let's move to the conclusion. There are three major themes in this lesson. The first one is a beautiful mind. A beautiful mind is not just filled with creative ideas and genius theories. It is the one which thinks of universal brotherhood and peace. Just like Einstein, he has a beautiful mind. Why? Because obviously he was a genius. Obviously he had such great theories. Obviously he was so good at science. His mind was so sharp, powerful, and he was such a creative individual. Such an innovator he was. But his mind was beautiful because he talked about universal brotherhood and peace, because his mind could also think about peace, harmony of other people, right? That's why we call his mind a beautiful mind. The second theme is Einstein as a scientist and as a human being. So as a scientist, we know that he was a genius with unmatched scientific knowledge, but as a human being, he was a supporter of world peace, democracy, and harmony. This biographical sketch explores both the facets of his life, the person as a scientist and the person as a human being, right? The third theme is science, boon or bane. Is it something good or is it something bad? Science should be used to promote peace and not to cause destruction. So science in itself, it's just knowledge. It is up to the human beings how they use it. Human intentions play a major role in the use or misuse of any knowledge. So science, just like any other knowledge, could be used for to cause destruction or to cause peace and harmony. So according to Einstein, and generally also, science should not be used to cause destruction. It should be used to bring the world together, to make a better developed world, which is good for everybody. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching.